What's up everybody, welcome on back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about witch hazel. We noticed in the last video a lot of you had questions about witch hazel, so we're going to talk about what witch hazel is, why we thought it would be good to use with powder coat, and we're going to do a couple more tests. Let's get into the video. So witch hazel is used when making a lot of bath and body products. That's how we actually came across it. It is 86% witch hazel and 14% alcohol by volume. So what exactly is witch hazel? It's a shrub that's indigenous to the United States, and it's actually been used by Native Americans for centuries for different skin elements. Nowadays you can find witch hazel at your local drugstore in its purest form. When using witch hazel, it actually evaporates kind of like alcohol and it leaves no trace behind. This is why we decided to try it with mixing powder. When we first bought powder water, it had the same consistency and texture feeling as witch hazel, so we figured that witch hazel was probably very close to the same product. Hopefully, this keeps you informed on witch hazel and why we chose to use it. Now let's get to some testing. So in this test, we're using intense blue. If you noticed in our last video, which I'll link up here if you haven't seen it, when we put the mixed colors in the oven, it was still kind of wet. There was one side that wasn't quite as wet, and that was because all the witch hazel had evaporated. When you noticed our finished product was kind of bubbly, we thought that that had something to do with the moisture in it. So today we're going to test that out. We're going to mix some witch hazel and some intense blue from prismatic powders, and we're going to go ahead and lay it out on one of our test pieces. We're going to do one, let it evaporate completely, and then we're going to do another one that has a little bit of liquid on it and is still kind of runny. We're going to toss them in the oven, cure them all the way out, and then see which product looks better. Let's get to the test. We're not doing an exact amount. We're just going to make one kind of liquidy, one kind of runny. So we're going to go ahead and throw a little bit of intense blue, and we're going to throw a little bit of witch hazel. Now we're going to mix it up. So it seems to be mixed up pretty good. We're going to go ahead and just pour some on here, move it around a little, and then we're going to let it evaporate. You can still see that there is some clumps in there, but since it will all be evaporated by the time we put it in the oven, I'm hoping that those clumps don't make a big difference. We'll also be able to see if it's better to have the product thicker or thinner. Let's go ahead and let this witch hazel evaporate, and then once it's evaporated, we'll add a little bit more witch hazel to the mix so it's runny. Put it all in the oven and we'll test these out. Let's get it. So after about 30-35 minutes in the sun, we went ahead and got all of the witch hazel evaporated off the piece. It does look like the witch hazel did cause the steel to rust a little bit, so that might be something to keep in mind in future projects. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mix it up again, but this time we're going to keep a little bit more witch hazel in it and keep it a little bit runny, and then we're going to throw it in the oven and see what these pieces look like. Let's do it. So we're just going to add a little bit more witch hazel to this, mix it up, and then pour it on our piece. There we go, definitely mixed up well. And pretty liquidy. Now we've got them done, let's go ahead and throw both of these pieces in the oven.
The one on the left is the one that's still wet, the one on the right is the one that's dry.
As you guys guys can see here, we made a big mistake today. We set this transparent red sparkle and shocker yellow powder on our little oven while it was warming up, and it melted some of the powder. Big mistake on our part. We ruined a couple of pounds of powder, but we get to do a test that we were wanting to do anyways. This is just gonna make it a little bit easier. You guys are gonna have to check out that test in the next video, but we made a big mistake and ruined a bunch of powder today. So we're done, and if you take a look at these, the one that we let evaporate looks a lot better than the one that we didn't let evaporate. But one thing you'll notice is that you need to have the powder really mixed up, because even though we let everything totally evaporate, because the powder wasn't completely mixed with the witch hazel, you can see that there's some bubbles. So you want to make sure that your powder and your witch hazel or powder water is completely mixed up. And you definitely, from the looks of it, should have it evaporate before you put it in the oven. Otherwise, it really just turns out bubbly. So that's it. We hope you enjoyed the video and hope you learned a little bit more about using witch hazel and mixing it with powder when you want to work with it wet. We know that we found out some more information, and we've got some great tests that are going to be coming for you. As always, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash up the like button for the YouTube algorithm. It definitely helps the video to be seen by more people. If you got a comment or a question, leave it down below, because we definitely like to read them all and reply to you. And down below is links to Jeremy's new TikTok as well as the 710 Performance TikTok. Make sure you go check them out and give us a follow. We'll catch you in the next video. Peace.